Omagyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksurunmilitam Yanam Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanamano Bhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Sayam Rupagadamayam Dadati Saparantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yutapatakabalan Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatan Ritam Tam Sajivam Sadaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakandvidamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhurino Bando Jagatpade Gopesha Govika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshani Vrishabhano Sade Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Avanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhuvyevacha Paritanam Pavanebhya Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama Eva Kevalam, Kolam Nasteva Katyaranyata. Hare Krishna. So reading from Jaiva Dharma, 9th chapter, Nitya Dharma, Material Science and Civilization. So well-known book of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. You know Jaiva Dharma? You know Jaiva Dharma book? So Jaiva Dharma means the constitutional position of the soul, devotional service to Krishna. So in this chapter, so first he's explaining about Nitya Dharma, the constitutional position of the soul, and then he's explaining also direct service to Krishna, and then he's explaining also about Naimitika Dharma. That means occupational duties which are there in this material world, like following Varna Ashram. So here, so this Jaiva Dharma is a conversation between also different devotees, and the scene, setting the scene that is in Navadvip, specifically Godrum Dvip, where Vaishnavas are performing their devotional service, chanting the holy names, worshipping Mahaprabhu, worshipping Krishna. So that is after Mahaprabhu's disappearance, shortly after that. So specifically when Premdas Babaji Maharaj, he was the foremost of the Vaishnavas in Godrum, and he was giving guidance to many Vaishnavas. And different persons were coming to see him or his disciples and followers, asking questions in regards to spiritual life, in regards to how to perform devotional service in this world. So besides one's devotional service, then the duties in this world, according to Varna Ashram, And so also, so therefore here in this chapter that has been mentioned in regards to civilization and material science. So here one of the devotees who came there to take guidance from the leading Vaishnavas there, his name was Advaita. He was from Shantipur, but he left his home in Shantipur to reside in Godumdvip. And so one friend, childhood friend, so he had come to see him. His name was Digambar. And he was a follower of Durga Devi. So and he was then asking question from this Advaita, who became a pure Vaishnava. So this devotee of Durga, so he didn't have a proper understanding of the scriptures, and he didn't respect the Vaishnavas much. And so he was he was knowledgeable also in the philosophies of the modern scholars of this world, specifically, of course, modern means from our point of view, like the Greek philosophers and others like Plato, Aristotle, Socrates, and others. And of course, we as Vaishnavas, we respect them, but we follow our acharyas, and we know that the other scholars, if they are not reading the Vedic literatures, and specifically if they are not under guidance of a pure Vaishnava, then they may not have the proper understanding. So then this devotee Advaita is telling his friend Digambar, so trying to correct him. So you have said that the Vaishnavas have no interest in Vigyan. Vigyan means realized knowledge, but that is not true. The pure knowledge of the Vaishnavas is endowed with Vigyan. He's quoting from Srimad Bhagavatam, 2nd chapter, 2nd canto, 9th chapter, text 31. So this verse is just 2 verses before the Chatushloki, the essential verses of the Bhagavatam. You know the Chatushloki? Chatushloki, you know? You know?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
Jaiva is active. Bhagavatam?
Yeah.
No.
Not from Bhagavad Gita. You know? You? You?
I know the numbers.
The numbers. 33, 34, 35,
Yes.
36. Yeah.
Yes.
Aham eva sameva agre nan yat sat param. So that is the first. And that is in regards to Sambandha Gyan. And then the second and the third, so they are actually about Prayojan Gyan, and then of course Abhideya Gyan also. Because that, in all the Vedic literatures, especially the essence, so Sambandha Gyan, Abhideya Gyan and Prayojan Gyan has been explained. Anyone is chanting, yeah. Brahman initiated or not yet? You? Brahman initiated? Yeah. So the Gayatri mantras, they have 3 parts, Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayojan. Vedanta Sutra, which is the essence of the Vedas, is in 4 parts. First is about Sambandha Gyan, second and third about Abhideya, and the fourth about Prayojan Gyan. So similarly Bhagavatam also, and even Bhagavad Gita will have Sambandha Gyan, Abhideya, Prayojan Gyan. So before that, so he's quoting this verse, Jnanam param guyam me yadvigyanam samanvitam sarahasyam tadangascha grihana gatitam maya. So Krishna is speaking to Lord Brahma. And so explaining to him, so I'm giving you this knowledge, jnanam, which is very confidential, essential knowledge. And then he said, Yad Vijnanam Samanvitam. And then he's saying that inside the knowledge, the realization will be there. So when you get knowledge, then the realization is there. It will come, but not immediately, like we heard, right? We are not this body. You ever heard you are not this body? You heard? So, we are spirit soul. Aham Brahmasmi. So we are transcendental to this material body. We are Jivatma. And we are servants of the Lord. Mabhavamsa Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. 15th chapter, text number 7. Okay, you can say whole verse.
Mamavanso Jivaloke Jivabhuta Sanatana Manashashta Indriyani Prakriti Sthani Karsita.
Okay. What is the meaning?
I am in every one.
Oh, Krishna is saying, I'm in everyone? No. You know? No? You know? You forgot. The meaning, you know?
The meaning is that there is in the material world, there is Jiva that is struggling with the material nature.
Mama evamsa jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana. Krishna is saying that the jivas, they are my part and parcels. Mama evamsa jiva loka jiva bhuta sanatana. In this material world, so the jivas, the living entities, are my part and parcels, amsa, and they are eternal. Manasastra indrani prakriti stani karsati. And yes, they are struggling in this material world. The jivas, the conditioned souls, they are struggling. Or anyone struggling here? Or not struggling? You're okay? No problem? Little problem there, huh? But good to know we are, not this body. But then we have to realize. Okay. You realized you're not this body? You realized you're not this body? But you know, but you're not realized. So realizing means seeing oneself different from this body and one relationship with Krishna. And we can see Krishna. That is realized. So in the beginning we get knowledge, but there is no realization. My Krishna is God. Satchidananda Vigraha is eternal, full of bliss and knowledge. Tribang Lalit Shama Sundar, beautiful form, 93 places. Shama Sundar, Shikanda Shekhar. So he has this peacock feather in the crown or in the turban. So but we may not immediately see Krishna in our heart before our transcendental eyes. So we know that Krishna is the Lord and we have heard about His name, form, qualities and pastimes, but then to realize that will take some time. So therefore here he's saying Sarahasya Tadangascha. So that again is a secret, that is a rahasya secret. So these different limbs are there of devotional service. So Tadanga, so that means also the different limbs of devotional service are there. So by engaging in devotional service, then we may get this transcendental realized knowledge, Vijnan. So we should accept the knowledge, and then by performing devotional service, then we can get the realization. So before this creation, Bhagavan was pleased with Brahma's worship and instructed him on the tenets of pure Vaishnava Dharma. Bhagavan said, "O Brahma, I am explaining to you this most confidential Gyan of myself. The Vijnan with which it is endowed is its Rahasya and all of its Angas, components. Accept all this from me." So, Digamba, there are two types of knowledge: Shuddha Gyan, pure knowledge, and Vishaya Gyan, knowledge of material things. So Krishna is also explaining Bhagavad Gita. This the transcendental knowledge and the spiritual knowledge. So being in this material world, so we have to engage in devotional activities, we have to hear, we have to get this transcendental knowledge, but then also in the knowledge in regards to this material world, that is also required regarding, so of course, Vana Ashram, but then even we have knowledge of this world which may not be connected to Krishna consciousness, so that is mentioned as Vishai Gyan, of the objects of this material world. So, or then material knowledge is there. So, which is also required to some extent. So, in order to live in this world, we have to have some knowledge of this world. And even so, in any field, when we're in some occupation, so we must have some knowledge. If one is doing some business, so he has to know about the business. So that may be material knowledge. But then, so Krishna has to be in the center, and one has to be engaged in devotional activities and get spiritual knowledge, and then we may advance. But being in this material world, so we have to conduct ourselves also according to Vana Ashram, and so we may need some knowledge in this regard also of this material world. Otherwise, we cannot even maintain our body. So even how this body functions, that we have to know. And then, just like if there's some disease, then we should know how to take care of that. If we have a cold, then we know we should not take cooling things. We should drink milk, and we can take some honey, some ginger. So we need some knowledge also, even how to take care of the body. If you have a car, or a scooty, a bike, then we have to know how to drive the car or the bike. So, and that has nothing to do with Krishna from one point of view, but then as a devotee we have Krishna in the center, and as explained in the Yagya and Samskar, sometimes we do puja when we get a new car. Not of the car, but we do puja of the Lord. and we draw a swastika, an auspicious sign, and we worship the Lord on the car. Then the car is blessed. So some knowledge of this world is required. So all human beings acquire Vishaya Gyan through the senses, but that knowledge is impure. So it is useless for discerning transcendental objects. It is only useful in relation to the jiva's conditioned state of material existence. Knowledge that pertains to spiritual consciousness is known as Shuddha Gyan. That is eternal. And it is the basis of the Vaishnava's devotional service. Spiritual knowledge is the antithesis of material knowledge, and it is completely distinct from it. You say that Vishaya Gyan is Vigyan, but it is not Vigyan in the true sense of the term. So here, that person was saying that, so in regards to knowledge of this world, like material science, so sometimes, so science, so that is then translated as Vigyan, science. Material in this world, the science which is there, scientific knowledge, that is sometimes also explained as Vigyan. But here, so the point he's making, so it is not true Vigyan, because true Vigyan means realization of the soul and realization of the spiritual world, the Supreme Lord. That is true Vigyan. So this Vigyan of this material world, it is a perverted reflection of the spiritual realm. And it is not complete, it is not perfect. Like, they have some knowledge, the scientists also, but they don't have complete knowledge. I mean, there's one theory, Big Bang theory. You have heard of the Big Bang theory? You have heard? You know Big Bang theory? What is Big Bang theory? First, there was a Big Bang bomb, like atom bomb, right? They dropped the atom bomb in Japan, end of the Second World War. They drop a bomb, and so they're saying this theory, explosion is there, and then material world comes into being. Big Bang theory. There was a Big Bang and the material world was manifested. But if there's a Big Bang, an explosion, then there's destruction. Like when the Americans were dropping 2 bombs in Japan. So, you remember the name? Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Destruction was there. People dying. And then everything destroyed. So if there's an explosion is there, or sometimes earthquake, like just now, some earthquake I think in Indonesia or somewhere. Afghanistan, all the time some earthquakes here and there. But big earthquake is there, then there's destruction there. And then they also say when the world came into existence or something. So they don't have complete knowledge in regards to the planetary systems. So the knowledge is incomplete because it is not coming from the scriptures which are manifested by the will of the Lord. That is pure knowledge, that is perfect knowledge. So here the real reason that your Ayurveda and other types of material knowledge are called Vigyan is that they are in contrast to pure spiritual knowledge. True Vigyan is that pure knowledge that is distinct from material knowledge. There is no difference between Gyan, which is the knowledge of a truly abiding substance, Chidvastu, and Vigyan. So Chidvastu, Chid means transcendental, Vastu object. So the Supreme Lord is Brihat Chidvastu. Brihat, great, Krishna. Chidvastu, transcendental entity, supreme entity. And the Jiva is Anuchidvastu. Also, the Jiva is also transcendental by nature and eternal and blissful, knowledgeable. But the Jiva's Anu is very small, infinitesimal. So if that is realized, that is real Vigyan. So, which is the knowledge of how such an object is distinct from matter. Gyan is direct perception of a transcendental object, whereas Vigyan is the establishment of pure knowledge in contrast to material knowledge. Although these two are actually the same thing, they are known either as Vigyan or as Gyan or as Vigyan according to the methods they employ. So Gyan basically is just knowledge which we can acquire. And Vigyan, that is the realized knowledge. So Vigyan. In Vigyan, so Gyan is there, V. And Vishesh Gyan, special knowledge, realized knowledge. You refer to material knowledge as Vigyan, but the Vaishnava says that Vigyan is the true diagnosis of material knowledge. They have examined the nature of military science, medical science, astronomy, and chemistry, and they have concluded that these are all material knowledge and that the Jiva has no eternal connection with them. Therefore, these different types of material knowledge are of no consequence in relation to the Jiva's Nitya Dharma. The Vaishnavas understand that those who are expanding their mundane knowledge according to their material propensities are immersed in karma kanda. However, Vaishnavas do not condemn such people. Indirectly, the endeavors for material improvement help the Vaishnavas' spiritual progress to some extent. So material improvement is required also. So materially speaking, if you are well-to-do, if you are healthy, then that is an advantage, or that can be used in performing devotional service. Sometimes if the health is not good, or if the financial situation is not good, then it may be difficult to properly engage in devotional service. Unless one is highly advanced and then is not dependent on the external situation of this world, because it's transcendently situated. It may be poor or rich, healthy or not healthy, it doesn't matter much. Still somehow we will engage in devotional service. So therefore here it is mentioned that material improvement may help the Vaishnavas to progress to some extent. So because sometimes you can see even if somebody is healthy and somebody may be rich also, but it is not necessarily that he will make rapid advancement in spiritual life. Sometimes somebody is healthy then, and he knows about devotional service, but still, and he has some material assets, but then he will use for sense enjoyment. then how much he can advance. Whereas somebody may be not so healthy and not so wealthy, but then he's sincerely engaged in devotional service, so he's in better position. And the material knowledge of those who pursue material advancement is insignificant. And you may call it Prakrita Vigyan, material science. There's certainly no objection to that. It is foolish to quarrel over names. So here actually Bhaktivinoda Thakur in this book, so he's helping the devotee to gain spiritual knowledge and to understand also the subject matter of this material existence and how to live in this world as a devotee. So of course we say spiritual life is very easy. Very easy, spiritual life, right? Chant Hare Krishna and be happy and take Krishna Prasadam. Easy, right? But then when you practice, you see that it's not so easy. Just take prasad and you chant Hare Krishna and everything is fine. No. So, but one has to be under good shelter and one has to endeavor nicely. And we need knowledge actually. But then we have to engage in devotional service, we have to especially chant the holy names nicely. So, and be under guidance also of the devotees who are more experienced. And then we may slowly but surely progress in spiritual life. And then there will be less problem. Problems will be there, but there will be a little less if you are under proper guidance. Of course, then even as a devotee, sometimes big problems are there. But if you are in good association, then we can overcome. And we pray to Mahaprabhu also. Katanchana smriti asmin duskuram sukuram bhaved vismite vipaitam shachi chaitanyam namamitam. So this is a verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita. If somehow, if you can remember Mahaprabhu, then difficult things, big problems become small. But if you forget Mahaprabhu, small problems become big also sometimes. So therefore we remember Mahaprabhu. So we remember Guru and Gauranga, and then by their mercy we may remember Krishna. Gurave Gaura Chandraya Radhikaya Tadaniya Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namah. You know this verse? You know? You know this verse? No, not by heart. It's good to learn, to be focused and to invoke the mercy of Guru, Gauranga and Krishna and Radharani. So here so, of course, for devotees who are nicely engaged in devotional service, so sometimes some of these questions here, they may see not so important, but at the same time it is interesting, and we can always learn something more. And so which may be then helpful for us. So Digamba, well, if there were no advancement in material knowledge, how could you Vaishnavas conveniently satisfy your material needs and be free to engage in bhajan? You should also make some endeavors for material advancement, Advaita. People work in different ways according to their respective inclinations. But Ishvara has the supreme control of all, and he awards each person the appropriate result of his action. So Vaishnavas, they also in this world are performing their seva, and they may also have some occupation to get some money. But Prabhupada used to say also, you don't have to work whole day. Just work so much so that you can maintain your body and your family. So the emphasis is on devotional service, and then just do some occupation that you can maintain yourself. So Digamba, where does inclination come from? Advaita. Inclination develops from deep-rooted impressions in the heart acquired through previous activities. So we have some inclination. Now in this life we have some inclination to do something. So then where is this coming from? So that is usually acquired from, of course, previous knowledge and previous activities. Like for example, even here in India they say, to become a good sitar player. You know sitar, the instrument? Yeah, so to become perfect you have to practice for 7 lives, they say. So we don't want to do that. But some people are doing, and it is okay if they are devotees. Some devotees also play sitar. But even then you can see, like sometimes we have some other instrument, tabla, we have kinds of small drums. Sometimes you can see small boys, they play the tabla, and very expertly. They are 2-3 years old. How come? Because last life they were doing. Even in the West we have seen also playing the piano, right? Small children also, they play expertly. So maybe from previous life. And then for example somebody is inclined to Brahminical activities, so worshipping the Lord doing yagyas. So that may also be due to previous impressions. And one is nicely engaged in devotional service, mostly it is due to previous impressions. If one is just beginning, then it will be a little difficult. So, deep, so rooted impression, that is known as samskar, impression. Purva samskar, previous impressions, usually from previous life. And then one will have a certain inclination. So, but then therefore, so in this lifetime, so we should engage in activities for the pleasure of the Lord, and to be engaged in Brahminical activities, devotional activities. So that will help us then in the future. If we are not attaining perfection in this lifetime, which is not so easy, we may. If we have good impressions from last lifetime, devotional impressions, then we may attain perfection. If we don't have, then our present activities in devotional service, they will help us for next lifetime. Clear, right? Very easy to understand. The more extensively one is involved with matter, the more expert he will be in material knowledge and the crafts originating from such knowledge. The articles that such people manufacture may help the Vaishnavas to serve Krishna, but there is no need for the Vaishnavas to labor for them separately. For example, carpenters earn their livelihood by producing singhasans. Someone who is working with wood, carpenter, he may be doing singhasana, an altar for the deities, which Grihastha Vaishnavas use as platforms where they place the deity. Bees are inclined to gather honey, which devotees accept for the service of the deity. It is not that all the jivas of the world endeavor for spiritual advancement. They are engaged in different types of work impelled by their respective natures. So devotees are those who understand that we are servants of the Lord, the Vaishnavas. So by the mercy of the Lord and the Guru, so they are properly situated, and they will try to use everything in Krishna's seva. They are engaged in devotional service and they use everything in Krishna's service. And they try to see everything related to Krishna and Krishna everywhere. Human beings have different types of tendencies, some high and some low. Those with low natures are engaged in varieties of work impelled by their lower tendencies. The menial labor they perform assists other types of work which are prompted by higher natures. The wheel of this universe turns by the virtue of the division of work. Everyone who is under the jurisdiction of matter works according to his material propensity, and thereby assists the Vaishnavas in their spiritual development. Such materialists are not aware that their activities are helping the Vaishnavas because they are bewildered by the potency of Sri Vishnu's Maya. Consequently, the entire world serves the Vaishnavas, but unknowingly. So for the Vaishnavas, so everyone is engaged in devotional service. Advanced devotee sees that everyone is connected to Krishna. Everyone is a servant of Krishna, ultimately. But ordinary persons, they may not know. But the Vaishnava sees them. And he sees that whatever they're doing is helping also. So of course in Vrindavan, almost everyone is aware of the Lord, of Krishna. But they may not be actually so much Krishna conscious. Not that everyone here in Vrindavan is a highly advanced devotee. Some are, of course we respect everyone here in Vrindavan, but some are also engaged in material activities. But the devotees, they are always positive and see that a pure devotee especially is seeing that everyone is serving Krishna. Even those who are not fully engaged in serving Krishna. So we should try to develop this understanding, proper understanding. That is also mentioned in the Bhagavatam. And the three kinds of devotees. The neophyte, the intermediate, and the advanced devotees, the pure devotee. And so their symptoms are explained, their behaviors are explained for our understanding, so that we may also advance more and more. So for this we have to study the scriptures, we have to hear from the devotees, the advanced devotees, and then we have to practically be engaged in devotional service, and then we will advance. Digambar, what is this Vishnu Maya? Advaita, the Chandi Mahatmya of the Markandeya Purana, Vishnu Maya is described. Ma Maya Hare Shaktir Yaya Sammohitam Jagat. The potency of Bhagavan by which the entire world is bewildered is known as Mahamaya. So Sanskrit is very rich knowledge and very wonderful. So language, Sanskrit. And so different words we may have different meanings, like Atma. So that is also explained in the Shabdakosh, in the dictionary, Sanskrit. So Atma means the soul. But Atma can also mean the Supreme Soul, the Supreme Lord. And Atma can refer to the body also, to the mind or the body. So that is explained. So it depends how you use it in a verse. So Maya can also have different meanings, Maya. So Maya can be the internal potency, Yoga Maya, or it can be the external potency, Mahamaya. Maya may also mean knowledge. So it may mean spiritual knowledge and material knowledge, both. So Digambar so is asking, then who is the goddess I know as modern Nistarini? Nistarini is the name of Durga Devi. Advaita, she is Sri Hari's external potency known as Vishnu Maya. Digamba opened his book on Tantra and said, look, it states in Tantra Shastra that my divine mother is consciousness personified. She possesses full will and she is beyond the three qualities of material nature, yet she is the support of those three qualities. So different scriptures are there, Vedic literatures for different persons on a different level of spiritual understanding. So just like the Puranas, 6 Puranas are for those persons in a mode of goodness. 6 Puranas are for those persons who are in a mode of passion. And 6 Puranas are for those who are in the mode of ignorance. So then they have different knowledge given. Your Vishnamaya is not free from the influence of the modes of nature, so how can you equate your Vishnamaya with my mother? Despite this type of fanaticism on the part of the Vaishnavas really irritates me. You Vaishnavas have blind faith. Advaita, my dear brother, Digambar, please don't be angry. You have come to see me after such a long time. I want to satisfy you. Is it a slight to speak of Vishnu Maya? Bhagavan Vishnu is the embodiment of supreme consciousness and is the one supreme control of all. Everything that exists is his potency. Potency is not an independent object, vastu, but rather the functional power inherent within an object, vastu dharma. To say that Shakti is the root of everything is totally opposed to tattva, metaphysical truth. Shakti cannot exist independently of the object from which it originates. We must first accept the existence of an object that possesses full spiritual consciousness. Otherwise, accepting Shakti by itself is like dreaming of a flower in the sky. So Shakti is the potency, but then the originator must be there, the Shaktiman, the source of the potency. So that is Vishnu, that is Krishna. And the original Shakti is Srimati Radharani, Mool Shakti. And then, so Krishna's expansions are there, the Vishnu Murtis, and then the expansions of Radharani are there, Lakshmi Devis. And then the internal potency is there, and the external potency, there are also manifestations ultimately of Srimati Radharani, the original potency, Mool Shakti. But the Shakti comes from Krishna. Radharani is part of Krishna. Of course, they are non-different, but at the same time, there is a difference there. Krishna is Shaktiman and Radharani is Shakti. So Krishna is the original, so personality from whom everything emanates. So Shakti is an emanation of Krishna. So also it is mentioned, Shakti, Shaktimato Rabhed. So Shakti, so the potency is not different from the origin. So Radharani is not different from Krishna, but there's a difference also. So Achinta Beda Beda Tattva. So that is the inconceivable oneness and difference from Krishna. So Krishna is the source of everything. And the different Vishnu Murtis are not different from Krishna, but they are different also. Shakti, the energy, is not different and different. The spiritual world is not different from Krishna and different, and the material world also is not different from Krishna and different also. So actually the Vaishnavas, the worshippers of Krishna or Vishnu, so they have perfect knowledge because they are getting knowledge from the Vedic scriptures, which are emanations of the Lord. And they are also getting knowledge from the Supreme Lord Himself, who is situated in the heart. And those who are spiritually advanced, they can get transcendental knowledge from within. And then also the spiritual master is manifested, who is giving knowledge also. Because we may not hear Krishna from within our heart. And so the scriptures are there to help us. And we go according to Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. So we hear from the spiritual master who is speaking from the Shastra, from the previous acharyas. So that the acharyas have explained. Some persons may be simply studying the scriptures, but they are not, if they are not on the guidance of Sri Guru, then they may not have complete knowledge. Somebody may be in the association of Sri Guru, the spiritual master. So, but then I have to get the knowledge from the spiritual master, and then also for reference they may see in the Shastra. So therefore it is mentioned Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. Any question? Everything clear? Chant Hare Krishna, be happy. Okay, fine. Yes?
I have one question, but it's about a verse from Bhagavad Gita, which maybe somebody will know, I don't know it by heart, but maybe I can also find it on Google.
What is it?
The verse is about how study of empirical knowledge and devotional service are on the same platform and give the same result. Does anybody know which verse is that? I don't know exactly what it says.
Fifth chapter, verse 6.
Can I just find it so we can read it?
Yeah.
Okay. Fifth chapter first.
Fifth chapter, yes. Fifth chapter 5, fifth Yatsankya prapyataistanam yad yoga rapidavite kamsankhya ucha yogam chaya prashyanti sapashyanti. This verse.
Oh, can you read the translation?
Translation. In English, one who knows that the position reached by means of analytical study can be also attained by devotional service, and who therefore sees analytical study and devotional service to be the same level, sees things as other.
Yes, that is the verse.
Yes.
This is the one. Okay.
Yes. I don't really understand that verse, because isn't it that by devotional service that we can understand that empirical study that we are doing? Isn't that too, shouldn't it be connected together and go together?
Yeah, ultimately, yes. Of course, different, like Sankhya Yoga is there, or Sankhya philosophy, that is the analytical study of this material world. And so, and the devotional service, yeah. And actually the result ultimately is the same. If one is analyzing this material world, and of course it has to be under guidance of a devotee, and then by engaging in devotional service, then we may attain the same result, the same understanding, the same knowledge. So, of course, there's two Sankhya Yoga. One is Sankhya Yoga by an artistic person. The two Kapil Dev, one was a devotee, actually the incarnation of the Lord. And he has given Sankhya Yoga. And then he explained to his mother, Devahuti. And then there's an atheist, so he has impersonal understanding. But this knowledge by Kapil Dev to Devahuti, that is spiritual knowledge. But then by directly engaging in devotional service, then even without so much knowledge, but then we get the realization also. So if we are applying ourselves properly, so by acquiring this knowledge, then we will come to understand that we are spirit soul, we are different from this body, and then we will understand also that we have to engage in devotional service, and then one will engage in devotional service. So one is hearing about this material world, and which is known as Sankhya philosophy, analytical study of this material world, the different elements which are there of this world, like earth, water, fire, air, ether, and then you have the five senses, the five sense objects. So these are the material elements. But then it is explained that then beyond this, then the spirit soul is there. And then it is explained that we have to engage in devotional service. So, but first one will gain knowledge. He may in the beginning not be engaged in devotional service, but after having heard this knowledge of Sankhya philosophy, then he will understand he should engage in devotional service, and then he will engage in devotional service. Whereas somebody may not be so intelligent, but he hears that we have to serve the Lord, and he will think, okay, yes, let me serve the Lord. He will serve the Lord, even though he may not have so much knowledge, but because he's serving the Lord, then whatever is required, that knowledge he will receive. And he will be, basically he's already engaged in devotional service. He's properly situated, but some knowledge has to be there also. But he will get the knowledge also from within, from the Lord. He will give realization also. So simply by engaging in devotional service, one will get realization. But usually we have to hear also, so from the spiritual master. But if Krishna is in the center, then if one is engaged in studying the scriptures, or if one is directly engaged in devotional service, then the result is the same. So one is studying, and then like some devotees going to VIHE. You have been VIHE? You have studied? You did Bhakti Shastri? You did? Anyone did? You did? So you are now knowledgeable, right? And you are fully engaged in devotional service, right? Or trying to be? Trying to be, yeah. And somebody may not have studied, but then his understanding has to serve Krishna. And he may not be so knowledgeable, but he's already engaged in devotional service. Or somebody has studied, and then he understands, yes, I have to be fully engaged. But then just doing the Bhakti Shastra is not enough also. It's not now if one has done Bhakti Shastri, then one is now a great devotee. No. But it is helpful. But even simply if one is engaged in devotional service, he may not have so much knowledge, but just by engaging in devotional service, he will develop love for Krishna. And then he may realize his relationship with Krishna. So in this way, both then are ultimately leading to the same real result, which is pure devotional service, which is love for Krishna. So different processes are there. Even this Pancharatrika Vidhi and Bhagavad Vidhi, doing devotional service, and then Pancharatrika Vidhi. So that is Pancharatrika Vidhi. So specifically engaged in deity worship, But then Bhagavad Gita is more based on hearing and chanting about the Lord. But then both will engage in devotional service, and both will advance and they will get knowledge. But usually we should do both. We should study the scriptures or hear and then engage in devotional service. But then again, so the realization will come after. First one is engaged in devotional service, one is hearing, and then after some time the realization will come. By hearing and engaging in devotional service. So some may be more engaged in devotional service and some may be more engaged in hearing. But then everyone will then engage in devotional service. So those who are hearing, they will understand they have to serve, and then they will serve. And those who are serving, they will have to hear about Krishna also. Because if you don't hear about Krishna, you cannot really serve Krishna nicely. So usually we have to be both. We have to do both. We have to hear about Krishna and about devotional service, and then we have to engage in practical devotional service. Then the result will be there. The realization will be there. Okay? Anything else?
Thank
Hare
Short
Yeah.
question. We hear about being engaged in devotional service and nicely engaged in devotional service. So I'm trying to understand better what's this nicely.
What is nicely?
Yes, would you please explain a little more?
Yeah, nicely, to be nicely engaged in devotional service. Nicely engaged, that means practically fully engaged in devotional service. So we may be engaged in devotional service, but then the mind is there. So we do something, even sometimes worshipping the deities, but then the mind is somewhere else. I have to do this, I have to do that. And then this problem, that problem. So therefore then one may be not fully absorbed. So nicely engaged means to be fully absorbed in devotional service. With the body and then with the mind and then with the words also. And then, so then ultimately we have to be constantly engaged in devotional service. Constantly engaged. Which is not so easy. Because so still some attraction to the material world will be there. And so one is engaged in devotional service, and then sometimes one is engaged in sense gratification. So, but we should avoid sense gratification, be nicely engaged, fully engaged in devotional service. With body, mind and words. All the time. Okay? Okay. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.